This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Hi, my name is Igor Kheifets, and this is The List Building Lifestyle, the only podcast which delivers cutting-edge conversion strategies from the online trenches straight to your earbuds. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. I also invite you to grab a free copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle.
You are listening to the List Building Lifestyle Show. Welcome back, list builders, to another edition of your favorite show on list building with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Igor Kheifets.
What is up, Jonathan?
I'm feeling good, but we had a funny moment just off the air that I wish we could have shared with the listeners genuinely, but you were just reminding me how we've been recording this show for a year now, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it flew so fast. The older I get, the faster time flies. Like, I'm looking at Erica right now, and she's 4. Like, when did that happen? And then I spoke to a friend of mine, and he says, well, my kids are like 18 and 20-something right now. And I'm like feeling the exact same thing. I'm like, oh, damn. Man, this is so, I don't know. Is it good or bad, man? Is it does it mean you're enjoying it, or does it mean that you're bored, like when time flies?
I'll tell you what it means. It means that things are good, because if you can dig back into the back of your mind, way deep back there when you were still an employee at those hotels, how long did a day take?
Oh, it took forever. I couldn't wait to get off work.
So when it's flying, dude, you're having fun. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, enough of pleasant memories. Let's talk about something disgusting.
Okay.
I want to chat about shame.
Shame?
Yeah, shame. Like, what's your take on shame? Do you like shaming people, or do you, ever felt ashamed of yourself?
Yeah, probably. I don't really give a shit these days what anybody thinks of me, so it's hard to shame me. But I've seen it, and funny enough, I had a show I did with Michelle Spiva called something to do with slut shaming. So I thought it was kind of interesting. So I can't wait to hear your take on this.
Well, I look at shaming from a standpoint of success, just like at any other negative emotion. And so I think shame is good. I think shame is incredible for you if you want to become successful, because that's usually the prerequisite for you to get your shit together in a way, right? So in other words, if you're somebody who's been kind of slacking off and going on wreaking havoc on your own life, if you will, failing at this and that, and ruining relationships and stuff, like, it's the moment when you shame yourself into recognizing the truth. That is the moment when everything changes. That is the moment when you change your behavior, your habits, your attitudes, and your approach to life.
So, Igor, I want to ask, is that shame similar to the feeling of imposter syndrome that some people have?
What's that? I'm actually not familiar with that.
Oh, okay. So a lot of successful guys, even some of these great copywriters and these people that we all look up to, some of them have that idea that they're imposters, that maybe they don't deserve it, maybe they didn't earn it, maybe they're just one failure away from losing their position. And it's that idea, and I know some people with this imposter syndrome, where maybe they don't deserve what they have. Is that similar?
Oh, right. Well, I am familiar with that because I suffer from it for sure. Every now and again, I question myself and I say, when am I going to lose everything? Like, how soon is that going to happen? Like, as if it's inevitable. But it's actually not quite that. I'm talking about the kind of shame you feel when you look at your life and you realize you're a fucking failure. I'm talking about the kind of shame you feel when you're 100 pounds overweight or 40 pounds overweight and you strip yourself down, you're butt naked, and you're standing in front of the mirror and you look at yourself and you're disgusted. You're disgusted with your flabby self. You're just look at yourself and all you want to do is just punch yourself in the gut, and you want to just, you just want to see a different person in the mirror. That's the kind of shame I felt when I decided to lose weight. I was literally standing butt naked in the living room in front of a mirror. There was nobody else home, it was just me. Promise. And I basically looked at myself in the mirror and I felt so ashamed because that was the time when I was kind of hitting puberty and I wanted to chase girls and stuff like that. So I just looked at myself and I said, fuck, nobody would want to have sex with you and nobody will respect you. Right? Because if you want to, even at that time, I recognized that if you want other people to respect you, you got to first respect yourself. And you can't even stick to a diet or, get your shit together and just lose weight and get fit. Why would anybody else respect you?
Human.
Right?
All right. You know what? You got me there. Because like in business and all that stuff, I don't necessarily feel that way. But I have been in the very same naked in front of the mirror situation, looking at myself saying, God damn, your belly looks bad. You're a fucking slob. So I have felt that.
Oh yeah. And back injury happened to me a couple of months ago. It's actually been more than 6 months. Again, time just flies.
Wow.
I was going to see this chiropractor. And so you have to, like, the first time I came to see this guy, okay, he's a Russian guy, just like most professionals I see these days here in Israel. They're mostly Russians. So his name is Mikhail. And so I come and I arrive at Mikhail's home in the big city. And so this is like, imagine a guy who's like 7 feet or 8 feet tall, about 2 feet, maybe 3 feet wide. He's just like a mountain of a man, right? He's straight back. He's sort of like the ex-Soviet army officer, it's like straight up, very disciplined, hardcore, Marine haircut. About, probably in his 40s, and he's like the Dolph Lundgren. Remember Dolph Lundgren?
Yeah.
Like, he was exactly like that. And he's super fit too. Like, he's just big and he's fit. And he, for some reason, he doesn't put a shirt on when you come to see him.
Get out.
I kid you not. He's just wearing these tiny little swim shorts and no shirt. And so I come in and I'm flabby and I'm not fit. And I look at him and I was like, oh my God, he's gonna ask me to take off my shirt and he's gonna touch my back and he's gonna basically
laugh at me.
It's jello, there's no muscle there. So when I started, to see him and I saw him a few times, like looking at him, I felt ashamed. Now, if I go to see him today, that's going to be a totally different feeling because ever since I got fit, I got my shit together. I do pull-ups and, exercise every day. I got actually muscles now. I did not know they existed, but I do have muscles in a bunch of different places. Even my buttocks, I have like a really sweet ass right now, which I've been complimented on several times. So, but that was shame. Shame was what pushed me. Shame and pain, of course. The back pain was excruciating. So, the pain and the shame just pushed me towards becoming better and dropping all the bullshit. Because I used to hide behind the, I'm too busy, I don't have time for that, and I want to go to the gym, but maybe I'll do it tomorrow because I don't feel like it. You know what I mean? Like this sort of procrastination that we hide behind whenever, shit's getting real.
Yeah. Little defense mechanism you got in place to make you feel better about your shitty decisions.
Exactly. And so this feeling of shame, as much as I hate it, I do celebrate it, but only later on once I've overcome it, because without it, I just wouldn't be able to be successful. Like I wouldn't be hungry enough to strip myself from all the bullshit and get real. And I think more people out there have to get okay with shaming themselves and shaming their clients into action.
That's just like you, Igor. You love that. Carrot and a stick. Igor always takes the stick.
Always takes a stick. I'm a stick kind of guy.
So, Igor, see, here's the thing about that. And this is what I'm wondering, because I try not to be negative, but I'm actually getting back in touch with my negativity because I think it does have a special power. How do you get in touch with that without letting it consume you?
Oh, that's actually a pretty cool thing. Really great question. Basically, at some point, I learned to look at my brain as this bullshit mechanism. You see, brain will play tricks on you, good and bad. So in other words, whenever you feel good about yourself, it's a trick. And whenever you feel bad about yourself, it's a trick. But you can use both in order to advance forward. So if you make a decision beforehand, like before anything happens, so you just sit down with yourself and just make a decision that you're going to use your brain rather than let your brain use you. Every time a negative emotion pops up, you will be able to recognize the opportunity. And so, oftentimes when I feel negative emotion, while most people allow that emotion to consume them and all they can focus on is the emotion, okay, I will try and go beyond that and ask myself, what's the opportunity here? What's the conclusion I have to make in order to advance myself? Because my end goal, my desired outcome is to better myself at all times. So in other words, I try to imagine a finger pointing to the moon. And if you're focused on the finger rather than on the moon, you miss the point, right? So the negative emotion is the finger pointing to the moon, and the moon is what basically is behind it. It's the where you're supposed to arrive. And so if you're able to see beyond that, that's when you're able to see the greatness and the beauty of the great moon.
Interesting. So looking deeper into what's causing that. So that there's a level of awareness that you need to have in order to separate yourself from your feelings. So how did you arrive at that?
Well, practice, I guess. Remember I told you I was a part of this cult, at some point for
Yeah.
6 months, and they were big on self-awareness. And, once you study a lot, at some point you start picking up on this stuff. A lot of successful people, they got a good grasp on the obvious. And a self-aware person, that's what they have. They have this, I guess, talent or privilege or skill to be self-aware, to recognize their own bullshit. A great author I recommend checking out on the topic is actually Mark Manson. He writes a lot about self-awareness. He writes a lot about how the brain is just one huge bullshit mechanism, and how you're supposed to learn how to identify everything it throws at you and recognize what's useful and what's not. His recent book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, it's actually the real title. Highly recommend it, because it dwells deep into exactly how the brain tricks you and how it keeps you miserable.
Wow. So have you ever practiced meditation or prayer or any of that stuff where you just go in there and analyze your mind? Or is this just something that you have developed over time and practice? How did you get here?
Well, I definitely tried practicing meditation. I could never stick to the regimen, if you will. And, the thing about meditation is that you're supposed to just observe your mind rather than analyze it. However, what you do develop through meditation is the ability to detach yourself from the mind. So rather than seeing yourself as your anger or as your thoughts or as your, identity of some kind, you're able to observe it from a third person view, if you will. And that is what self-awareness is to recognize that you're not your emotions, you're not your thoughts, you're not your achievements, you're not your image, if you will. You're sort of way beyond that, because you're capable of thinking about your image from a much deeper level and have a different perspective.
That's heady.
Yeah, we're getting super heavy.
Right? Let that sit for a second. You're not attached to your thoughts, which makes you a more evolved creature. So you have done some studying on the topic, and I'm glad you brought it down to that level. So what are some other ways people can leverage that shame? Because I think right now what I'm hearing you say is to leverage your emotion, whether it's shame or joy, find ways to leverage those emotions to get you closer to the moon.
Well, why don't you just proactively look for it? I mean, just sit down, take a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil and write down the 10 or the 5 or the 3 things that you feel ashamed of. Then recognize the opportunities in those things and then go and implement something to feel proud instead. Robin Sharma says, my fear is my gold, right? It's pretty much the same thing. So if you're ashamed about your weight, go and get fit. If you're ashamed about your income, go make more money. If you're ashamed about your email marketing skill, go and start writing some emails. Get practicing on that. If you're ashamed about your inability to detach yourself from your emotions, well, go read some Mark Manson stuff and get better at it, etc., etc., etc. So you can literally just use that as a guide map. You can just, that's your treasure map, if you will, and every X on it is something you feel ashamed of. And rather than just kind of, like most people, just pushing it way down, right? Just bury it somewhere inside and get cancer 10 years from now. Why don't you instead recognize it, embrace it, and then do something about it?
That goes back to, I believe you've said it on the show before. I don't think it was just in personal conversation, but yeah, you use that method all the time, right? Like pros and cons, or what's bothering you, and then you just start working towards eliminating that. Isn't that one of the tips that you had given us in a previous show?
I think so. It's basically it's a trick to sort of like confuse your brain and get it out of the way. For instance, if you want to do something, and that, I mean, you've been trying to do this for a long time, but you couldn't, right? You could ask yourself a question. Why am I guaranteed to succeed in achieving X, whatever that X is for you? And then you just go ahead and list 100 reasons why. Just that's your task. Just sit your ass down and just keep writing until you come up with 100 reasons why you will achieve that. You're guaranteed to achieve this. And trust me, your brain will come up with 100 reasons why that will happen. And then the next step, it will actually happen, because, you can't go back on that. Like, the brain will become aware of the fact that it can make it happen. And then, your attitude towards achieving this task happens. I've used this tactic against many, many of my goals that I failed to achieve for years. At some point, it finally clicked and I started using it more often. So today, when I need to convince myself, right, to sort of like trick my brain into believing that I can achieve a big goal, that's what I do. I ask a different question.
And it's like the opposite side of that is a shame, right? 100 reasons why you won't achieve that goal, and then you get pissed off and want to achieve it.
Oh, trust me, if you spend this time figuring out 100 reasons why you can't achieve something, whoa, I mean, that's just, you're setting yourself back. I mean, that's just a huge step back, because you won't be able to undo this for a long time. I mean, think about it. If you make yourself aware of 100 reasons why you just suck. I mean, if I sit down right now and I list 10 reasons why I'm a bad husband, what will that do to my self-esteem? What will that do to my relationship? I mean, of course, I could list like a couple of things and then go work on them. But think how hard it is to take in 10 reasons why I'm a bad husband. Like, I'll just depress the hell out of myself. So instead, I'll go write 10 reasons why I'm a great husband, and then I'll go and I will increase those reasons. I will just, do more of that, which is way more useful. So see, like, we're just tricking the brain into believing all kinds of stuff that's just useful to us.
Yeah, I like that little. I think they're calling these biohacks these days, right? When
yeah.
Messing with your brain and your body is a new buzzword. But anyways, don't want to take you off topic here. So I think, unless there's anything else, we're wrapping up another edition of List Building Lifestyle. Is that right?
Well, almost. Basically, I just want to kind of go back and mention that while you should be shaming yourself into changing yourself and into improving yourself, you should also do just as much to shame your customers into changing themselves. Because shame is a really powerful driver towards purchases. Okay, shame will drive your customers to buying your product if you do it right. So consider to figure out all the ways your prospects are guilty of acting in a bad way, and shame them by showing them what they've done, and see them flock to you asking for guidance, literally handing you their hard-earned dollars, because they now are too ashamed to look themselves in the mirror and admit that they got this thing going on and they can't really solve it without your help. But do it ethically, of course. Okay? I mean, this works if you're ethical or not ethical. So it's up to you to be using this responsibly for the better good of men, okay, and women. I can't stress enough. Actually, I'll tell another little story. I showed a bunch of people how to use these tactics to sell more. And these people, one of them was selling coaching programs on the Warrior Forum, and the other was selling coaching programs in Israel. So the first one, he used these tactics in a very bad way to sell bad product, okay, bogus coaching. And he got off the Warrior Forum within 3 to 4 months, got his PayPal account shut down. And I don't know if he had any lawsuits going on, but he definitely, his name, he can't use his name anymore. If he's ever going to come back online, only through a pen name, no photo, no nothing. Right? He won't be able to do a video because he'll be instantly recognized. Now, the other guy had a collective lawsuit against him here in Israel. Okay? He, again, used these tactics to sell a very poor quality product, and he never did anything to improve the product. He just focused on the selling. And again, he paid the dear price of a lawsuit. So whatever you do, I'm hoping that you're shaming your prospects into buying something that's good for them, something that actually works. If not, you will suffer the consequence. I mean, karma's a bitch, trust me.
Now there's a note to close on. All right, another list building lifestyle shows in the can. We'll be back with you next time. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to the List Building Lifestyle. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to never miss an episode. Because who knows, just one conversion tactic we share on the show might double your list and double your business. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. And don't forget to claim your complimentary copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. This is Igor Kheifets, and until next time we talk, have a good one.
This is the podcastfactory.com.